everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Angel, and today we're going to be doing a recapping my 2024 reading goals I made at the beginning of the year and checking in and seeing on how we're doing. I also apologize if sit-down videos are not your jam, because I fear this is my fourth one in a row now. But I do promise I do have a 24-hour reading vlog coming next week, as well as I did one of the ones that Ellen Catherine does, which is a bookshelf scavenger hunt. I did that as a reading vlog, so they're both coming out next week. Which I already posted my mid-year book tag, but then afterwards I watched Disney Saidwell's, and she did kind of a recap at the beginning of how her 2024 reading goals were going. That was a really good idea, just look back and reflect and be honest with myself, because a lot of them I have not been hitting so far. So we're gonna look at that today. The video question is this one right here that I posted back in December, where I made 10 goals for the year of 2024 that were all about reading and my, not really posting, but more of my reading habits, I guess you could say. What's good is I think I'm doing good on about half of these. So that's something. The first goal I'm actually doing very well with, and that was my just reading goal for the year number wise, and that was 150 books, and I've read 87 so far. And I'm also currently in the middle of a 24-hour readathon right now, and so by the time that's done, I'll probably have read 93. The second goal I'm doing pretty good at, which I'm very proud of myself, because I made a goal to read 5 nonfiction books in 2024, and I made this goal because in 2023 I read 0. There was no nonfiction in my repertoire at all. But so I've already read 2 so far this year. I read Butterfly by Yusuf Mardini, and I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Janet McCurdy. Those are both memoirs. I think that's kind of more my vibe for nonfiction books. To be honest, those ones I prefer more. I do have a couple of my cope with that about them were self-help, self-growth books as well that I would like to read throughout the year also. But those are 2 that I really enjoyed, and I actually rated both of those 5 stars, which I went into it thinking I wasn't gonna rate memoirs, because I've always said when I'm reading a memoir, it's not really my place to rate your life and how well you told me your life story, that was always I don't think that's my place. However, I just read those and I just love them so much that I was no, I think they do deserve a 5 star, so they got one. Friends, this light is not lighting right now, so I'm really sorry. It's not really giving. The third one I also think I've done a really good job of, which is better utilize audiobooks. I found that I wasn't really using them a lot last year at all, really. I wasn't a big fan of them. I preferred to reading physically. And then this year, I guess more towards the end of last year, I started realizing that oh no, it's really good if I want to read, while going to work. I can play it in the car, while I'm doing stuff around the house. And so I've been using it a lot more, especially on my drives. My problem originally was that I couldn't focus on the book and on driving at the same time, but I'm good at multitasking. So whenever I'm driving to work, coming home, normally an audiobook's on. I do have my Audible subscription that I use every single month. And then normally also I use my Libby app to get 1 or 2 more audiobooks as well, and those kind of get me through my drives for the month. The fourth one was to keep up with my book of the month box, or I had to get rid of it, because there was times last year where I looked at my my TBR cart here, and there was books from February still in December, and I was that's not cool. So if you guys can see, I haven't done a much better job. This is my book still I just chose for June, that's why that's still on the cart. And then the reappearance of Rachel Price was actually one that Haley gifted me, and Haley actually just made a YouTube channel, so you guys should check her out. She's so sweet. And I do have my box coming for July as well. I've been doing a much better job of reading them the month I get them, or the month after, so I think I'm doing a good job on that front. I also did just take 2 months off book the month. I think when I was in my reading slump, I wasn't really grabbing any, and I was just kind of saving those credits because none of the books were calling to me, but it's just because I was slumped out. So I skipped the box those 2 months, but I'm still doing a pretty good job overall. Next one I think I'm doing a pretty good job of too, but also I'm being kind of counterproductive, and that is finishing off series was the next goal. And I think I have finished off a good chunk of my series this year. The problem is I think for every one I finish, I start a new one. But we're almost at the end now, I think, of the book series I wanted to start. The other ones I haven't started that I want to is Brandon Sanderson. He's definitely on my list, and I think besides that, that's about it. I read the first book now in Robin Hobb's whole universe, and that one actually got me slumped out because I tried reading it after a really fast-paced romance, and that book, it was just so slow-paced. And I do want to give the rest of that trilogy a chance. I did say that universe is 15 books long, but it's 4 interconnected series. It's kind of the Shadowhunters universe. And so I did say I will finish off this trilogy, I believe, and then if I'm still not feeling by the end of this trilogy, I'll be I gave it a good enough shot, I'm not gonna keep going. But other than that, I think I've started all the series I want to start this year. So now it's more about powering through those and finishing those off, and I think there's a very good chance that by the end of 2024 I could have less than 5 series I'm in the middle of. Don't hold me to that, but there's a good chance. And now we get into the area where I've just been failing the rest of these, to be honest. The rest of them have not been going the greatest. The first one was to post more book reviews, in the sense of I had scrolled through my TikTok account at the end of 2023, and I was I've read over 200 books, and I can probably count on two hands how many actual book reviews I have posted on those. Like my channel, like my account was a lot more just like reading vlogs, reading challenges, all that stuff, and I found that I wasn't actually like taking the time to sit down and reflect on the books I was reading. And unfortunately, I feel like that is the same exact thing this year. So I think a way to make this goal a bit better for me is I'm thinking maybe every time I finish a series, I just post like a review on the entire series, because I feel like what kept happening is there was a while where I was just reading series and I was like, oh, I don't want to post a review about the second book in a series because then I'll have to like be like spoiler free and not say anything about the first one, and I feel like that's always really hard to do. So I think now what I'm going to do is just like at the end of the series just kind of give like a spoiler free review of the entire series, and then try to make a goal of posting reviews for at least 3 other books that month minimum. So I don't do them for every single book I read, but I think it is good to kind of like sit down and reflect sometimes and give like an in-depth review on just one book. This next one I've also epically failed at, but I feel like it's one that I'm almost gonna try to veto now, and because I don't really care about it as much, and that is to be more diligent about my Goodreads and Storygraph. And when I did this, I meant like not even keeping up with it, but I also meant just like posting reviews on there as well. But truthfully, I feel like, especially with the pace I read books at, to be honest, it's like sometimes I don't want to go on Storygraph and write a paragraph, and I get like, like I just said, it's good to reflect and it's good to do that, but at the same time, if it's something that's like deterring me or something that's not enjoyable when it comes to my reading, I'm not gonna do it, because at the end of the day, this is for fun. It's something I do as like a fun hobby. I obviously don't want to like make it or like bog it down with things that I'm not wanting to do. Does that make sense? I just kind of realized I don't think Goodreads is for me, to be honest, and it's like really awful because a lot more people use Goodreads and I would love to use that as my platform, but truthfully I just love Storygraphs so much more, and I think it's a lot more like user friendly. I think like the graphs they show you are a lot better than you get on Goodreads. Like you don't get really anything on Goodreads except for your number count, where Storygraph breaks everything down for you, like your genres you've read, your pages you've read, like it goes in depth for you, and I like that a lot more. So you still think I want to be like diligent about like tracking my reading on my Storygraph, like, you know, like how many pages I read that day, or like, you know, when I finished that book, and then maybe just put like my star rating on it. Like my star rating can go there. I maybe don't write a paragraph unless I really want to, but I'm thinking Goodreads is gonna hit the curb because I've given it on a shot, and I don't think I've logged a single book on there this year. I don't like it. The next one's kind of like a 50-50, to be honest, because it's keeping up with new releases, which I feel like I've done like decently at. So the fact that I have to be honest with myself and realize that I'm not going to keep up with every single new release because of who I am as a person, which is I am not a hardcover girly. I can't do it. I don't like them. So like, for example, like Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher came out last month. I have it on my TBR cart. I'm hoping to read it this month already. When Elsie Suffer came out with Wild Love, I read that the day of. Like I'm really on top of it with like books that I can have easy access to. But like Funny Story by Emily Henry, I still haven't read because I put just a loan on it for Libby because I don't want to buy the hardcover. But exciting news is actually coming out, I think like in 2 weeks I'm going to get that book, so I'm really excited. Reckless by Lauren Asher came out and I really want to read it, but I haven't read Powerful yet because Powerful was a hardback too. And so I'm thinking, I've noticed the Reckless in UK and Australia is already in paperback, and I'm pretty sure that's actually the copy I have of Powerless. I'm pretty sure when I got off Amazon, they sent me the UK version of it. So I think if I just purchase the UK Reckless, I can have them both matching and a paperback way early. Then A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston just came out last month, like at the very end of last month, and I do have it over there in a box, but it's saved in a box because I'm filming a book unboxing video, I think next week. So I haven't opened it yet, but I do have it purchased. I'm gonna read it as soon as I open it. So I'm putting in a great effort with that one. Just I have to be realistic, and if it's in hardback, I'm not gonna buy it right away because if you look over here, I have no hardbacks except for my book of the months. And that's like the one I can compromise on, and even that was very hard to do. I'm still waiting for them to come out with paperbacks. I'm still waiting. And the last two I'm gonna put together because they do go hand in hand with like their original intention was, and that was I wanted to be doing more annotating, and by more I just mean start annotating, and I want to be rereading books. And that's actually what I really do want to be better at and work on. And so that's actually why I'm doing that 24-hour readathon at the beginning of this month. It's only like the first weekend. I think it's like July 7th right now, I think. Because I'm hoping to get most of my July TBR out of the way and finished, and then I will have like the confidence to sit down and reread a book without feeling like I'm gonna fall behind, you know? I feel like it would also help if I just like pick the book I'm gonna reread and just like be like, this is what we're doing, because I feel like with me there's so many I want to reread that then I just like get overstimulated and I don't pick one. Does that make sense? Like my big ones right now are Malibu Rising by TJR, The Nightingale, Four Winds, Great Alone, Throne of Glass, more so just like the entire SJM universe I want to go back and annotate, as well as like a lot of my fantasy series I have as well, like Six of Crows, all those. And also like some nostalgia ones from my childhood. I would love to reread Percy Jackson. The Hunger Games is like my main one. And then Harry Potter. But my thing is with the Hunger Games is now I keep waiting because originally I was gonna buy that beautiful 4-box set they had from Waterstones in the UK of the original trilogy and Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes all together, and the covers were stunning. And I wanted to get that set and annotate that set, but now I don't want to because they've announced that new book is coming out in March, Sunrise and the Reaping. So now it's like, I'm betting they're gonna make like a 5-book set. I would love to have those as my nice versions, but now I'm like, I have to wait till they come out with that. My other thing with annotating I think has scared me, that has kind of pushed me away from doing it, is I'm like a perfectionist to my core. I feel like I would only annotate on books I'm rereading. I would never just like go into a book blindly and annotate it. Like I just feel like if I were to like read a fantasy book and I were to like highlight like foreshadowing like question mark and then it wasn't, I feel stupid. You know, that's my thing. And then like it's on your book forever and you can't get rid of it. And then also just like in terms of like what colors I'm highlighting in, you know, like is my underlining straight, like stupid things like that. Like I'm very much like, I keep my books in pristine condition. Like, even when I've read them, you can't tell. There's like no crease, nothing. So the thought of like writing them is kind of scary to me. So I think I might do is like, for example, if I'm doing Throne of Glass first, Throne of Glass is a series I have on my e-reader. So I think I might reread it on there and do all my highlights on there and then transfer them to the book after the fact. Just so that like I have everything laid out. I know exactly what I want to highlight. I go in knowing exactly what I want to do, but I just need to get over myself is like the main takeaway from that one, to be honest. All right, friends, so looking back, I think I'm doing fine with about half of these. I'm like, I've done about half of them. I'm vetoing one. So really I'm like 5 for 9 so far. So we're not doing the greatest, but we're also not doing super, super terrible. So that's like a plus, I guess, I can look at. Overall, the main takeaway I'm going to do from this is that looking at this and like reflecting, I have that goal for book reviews. I want to be posting every single series I finish and then at least 3 other books, and then I just need to get over myself and annotate. So I think we're gonna make it a goal. I'm gonna say it on here now. I'm going to reread at least 1 book this month, and then maybe I'll do like a reading vlog of that, like me annotating for the first time and doing that. So if you guys have a book you prefer of all the ones I just listed that I should do, please let me know because I need some guidance. As always, if you watched this video, thank you so much. If you could like, comment, subscribe, I'd appreciate it so much. Helps the channel out. I'm also on TikTok at Angel's Book Corner, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.